Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and we are from Group 5, and today we'll be presenting our topic, the debate between Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd on revelation and reason in philosophy. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and my name is Nurul Iman binti Muhammad Sadali, and my matric number 1231983. So let's move to the introduction. So this study focuses on the relationship between revelation and reason is in Islamic thought. Both revelation and reason are important sources of knowledge in Islam and have been discussed extensively by Muslim scholars throughout history. The relationship between these two sources became one of the most major intellectual debates in Islamic civilization because scholars had different views on how revelation and reason should interact in understanding truth and knowledge. Among the most influential scholars who discussed this issue were Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd. Firstly, revelation referred to the message and guidance sent by Allah to His prophets. In Islam, revelation was given only to the prophets, including Prophet Muhammad SAW. It is considered the highest source of knowledge because it comes directly from Allah. So, the purpose of revelation is not only to inform people about Allah's existence, but also to demonstrate His greatness and power as the creator of the universe. On the other hand, reason is a special given by Allah to human beings. Through reason, people are able to think, understand information. Reason also helps individuals distinguish between right and wrong and allows them to understand the meaning and wisdom behind revelation. Because of this, human action and decision are greatly influenced by how they use their reason. Although Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd both recognize the importance of revelation and reason, they differ in their approaches. Al-Ghazali argued that revelation should have priority whenever reason appears to contradict religious teaching. He believed that reason has limitation and cannot fully understand all metaphysical truths. In contrast, Ibn Rushd emphasized that revelation and reason are not contradictory. He argued that both come from Allah and therefore must ultimately be in harmony. According to Ibn Rushd, philosophy and rational inquiry can help people gain a deeper understanding of religious truths. Now, let's move to the problem statement. So, the relationship between revelation and reason has been an important issue in Islamic philosophy for many centuries. Muslim philosophers and theologians discuss how far human reason can be used to understand religious truths. For example, this debate began when philosophers such as Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina used reason to explain God and the universe. However, Al-Ghazali believed that the reason has limit and should be guided by revelation. Although he did not reject reason and accepted subjects such as logic and mathematics, he criticized philosophical ideas that contradict Islamic teaching. Therefore, he wrote Tahfu al-Falasifah. In response, Ibn Rushd wrote Tahafut al-Tahafut. He believed that reason and revelation do not contradict each other because both come from Allah. Therefore, he defended the use of reason and philosophy in understanding religions. So, these different views become the basis of the debate between Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd regarding the relationship between revelation and reason. Research question and research objective. So overall, this study has three main focus. First, to examine the backgrounds and major works of Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd. Second, to identify their similarities and their views regarding revelation and reason. Third, to analyze the differences between their perspective on the relationship between revelation and reason. Now let's move to scope of study and methodology. For scope of study, this study focuses on Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd and their views on revelation and reason. The research analyzed their main works, Tahaffu al-Falasifah and Tahaffu al-Tahafut. It examines the similarities and differences in their perspective on true and religious knowledge. Other topics such as politics, ethics, mysticism, and jurisprudence are not discussed unless they are related to revelation and reason. And for methodology, the study used a qualitative research approach through document analysis. Data were collected from secondary sources. Secondary sources include books, journals, articles, and other academic publications. So the data were then analyzed using a comparative method.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Ilia Izzati binti Shahizan and my metric number is 1231964. So now I will be presenting to you about the biography of the Imam Al-Ghazali. Firstly, his full name is Abu Hamid Muhammad ibn Muhammad al-Ghazali. He was born in Tus Khorasan, which is now is known as the Iran, in 1058 Common Era. And then he studied in Tus, Jurjan and Nishapur under the Imam al-Haramain al-Juwaini, where he mastered theology, Islamic law and philosophy, and also logic. And then in 1091, he became a professor at the Nizamiyah Madrasah in Baghdad. And then after that, he experienced the spiritual crisis and traveled to Damascus, Jerusalem, and Mecca to find the truth. And then he wrote many famous books, including Ihya Ulumuddin and Tahafut al-Falasifa. And then he also was honored with the title Hujatul Islam because of his efforts in preserving and protecting the value and the fundamental of Islam. That he emphasized the balance between revelation and reason. And then he passed away in 1111 Common Era, but his contributions continue to influence Islamic thoughts today. Next, I would like to introduce Ibn Rushd. His full name was Abu al-Walid Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Rushd. He was born in Cordoba, Al-Andalus, which is now part of Spain, in 1126 Common Era. Then he came from a well-known family of judges where his father and grandfather served as the chief judges body. And then he also studied Islamic sciences, philosophy, logic, medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. He also wrote many famous books, including Faslu al-Maqal, Tahafut al-Tahafut, Bidayat al-Mujtahid. He later became a judge in Seville and Cordoba, and then became the court physician under the Almohad dynasty. He is best known for his commentaries on the Aristotle's works and for promoting the harmony between revelation and reason through the rational interpretation known as the ta'wil. Despite being exiled in 1196 because of his philosophical views, he remained one of the most influential Muslim philosophers until his death in 1198.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Asmizah binti Muhammad Asri, matric number 1231974. In this slide, I will explain about the similarities in Al-Ghazali's and also Ibn Rushd's view on revelation and reason. So, despite their intellectual clash, both thinkers operated firmly within the Islamic paradigm, establishing three fundamental principles. First is the divine origin of source, which is both of Imam al-Ghazali and also Ibn Rushd believe that revelation and reason originate from the exact same divine source, which is Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And both of Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd refer to the same holy, which is Holy Quran, that meaning that ultimate truth can never contradict itself. Second, reason and logic as a valid tool. Both of Ghazali and Ibn Rushd them accepted the use of logical deduction and rational faculties as legitimate, necessary instruments for acquiring knowledge and understanding reality. Uh, Revelation as supreme authority. Both of them recognize that human intellect has structural limitation and that revelation serves as the supreme authority for transcending metaphysical truth. And thus ultimate objective, they share the same theological goals in their intellectual journey, which was a genuine pursuit of absolute truth, which is unhacked, and closeness to the God. So even Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd live in the different years, but actually they have similarities in view on revelation and reason.
Bismillah. All right, moving to on section 4.1. Here, I want to talk about how Al Ghazali and Ibn Rushd look at Wahyu and reason. Basically, the whole debate in Tahafut al-Falasifa and Tahafut al-Tafut comes down to this. Can our human mind alone understand the unseen metaphysical world? If you look at Al-Ghazali, he firmly says no. He believes human reason has strict limits. We cannot use pure philosophy to understand things like God because it will lead us to errors. That is why Al-Ghazali argues that reason must follow wahyu. To him, absolute certainly only comes from divine revelation and spiritual light, which is called kashfu. But in Ibn Rushd sees it differently. He strongly defends philosophy. He says logical reasoning or al-Burhan is a great gift from God, so we should use it. He famously highlights that truth cannot contradict truth. This means authentic wahyu can through philosophy will always go hand in hand. If they seem to conflict, Ibn Rushd suggests we use ta'wil or metaphorical interpretation to understand the deeper meaning. Now, let's look at the specific issue where they actually clash. Al-Ghazali called this the three theological anatomies, where he basically declared the philosopher's view of kufur. The first big issue is about the origin of the word. Al-Ghazali believed the universe had a starting point. God created everything out of nothing, ex nihilo, simply by his divine will. However, Ibn Rushd argues that the word is eternal, qadim, but he clarifies that this doesn't mean the word replaced God. The word is eternal only because God is continuous creator who constantly keeps it alive. The second clash is about God knows. Al-Ghazali insists that uh, God knows every single changing detail in this world, even the smallest thing. Ibn Rushd explained that the philosophers never denied God's knowledge. It's just God's knowledge is way beyond human definition. It is not universal or particular. God knows everything simply by knowing himself. The third issue is the afterlife. Al-Ghazali holds the orthodox view that our physical bodies will literally rise again, just like the Quran said. Ibn Rushd offers a deeper look. He says resurrection is real, but we will have a transformed, superior physical body. He explains that the physical description in the Quran are actually metaphors to help ordinary people understand the concept of reward and punishment. In short, Al-Ghazali chose the literal meaning to save all the orthodox creed, while Ibn Rushd used philosophical depth to prove that Wahyu is still correct. Finally, let's look at section 4.3, which is the famous debate on causality or cause and effect. To make this easy to understand, both scholars use the classic example of fire touching cotton. For Al-Ghazali's side, he brings forward the idea of occasionalism. He argues that fire does not actually have any natural power to burn cotton. There is no necessary link between them. Instead, God creates the touch of fire and the burning directly at the exact same time. Al-Ghazali insists on this because he wants to prove that God's power is absolute, and this is how miracles happen, like how Prophet Abraham did not burn in the fire. But Ibn Rushd strongly disagrees. He introduced natural causality. He argues that God is wise and he gave inherent law to everything. So fire burns cotton because that is its divinely designed nature. Ibn Rushd wants that if we deny cause and effect, we basically destroy logic and science. For him, natural laws don't limit God. They actually show how wise God is in making such an orderly universe. To wrap up my part, Al-Ghazali focused on protecting divine power, while Ibn Rushd focused on protecting divine wisdom. That's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, this study examined Al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd, two major thinkers in Islamic philosophy, as they discussed the relationship between revelation and reason in their works. Both scholars agree that reason is important for gaining knowledge and that revelation is also a key source of guidance. However, Al-Ghazali gave more importance to revelation, while Ibn Rushd emphasized the role of reason and philosophy. Despite their differences, both made important contributions to Islamic thought. That's all from us. Thank you.